Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm very good. Thank you. And how are you, Avi?
I'm doing well.
Yes.
Thank you for having me today.
Yeah. It was an interesting talk we had here a few weeks ago on the show, and I thank you for that again. But like I was telling the listeners, we've been watching a miniseries on Netflix called Unorthodox, which is trending now and highly popular. And it's a series about a Jewish community in Williamsburg in Brooklyn, and the Hasidic Jews. Isn't it right that you are from this same community?
Yeah, so first of all, I would like to wish everyone well.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully everyone is doing good and safe and healthy.
Yeah.
And we're very proud of Iceland. We're very thankful to the doctors and nurses who are working tirelessly, the staff at Decode, the city and government for putting us in a very good situation. So we're very thankful for that.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the show Unorthodox, so I would say that Judaism is very colorful, and there are all types of Jews.
Mm-hmm.
Even within the Hasidic community, there are different types and different groups. But yes, I am from Chabad, which is quite famous, and it has, it is considered to be Hasidic. Started about 300 years ago, originally in Russia, later on moved to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot in common, I would say. There are some differences, and in general, Judaism is very colorful. So I'd be happy to get into this conversation.
First of all, the language that is spoken in Unorthodox Yiddish, isn't it called? Is this a language that you yourself speak?
So Yiddish means Jewish, and it's a language which has been spoken by Jewish people for probably hundreds of years, mostly Jewish people in Europe and Russia.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in Berlin for about 2 years, and what I learned there was that apparently the Yiddish language is Old German.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. It's almost the same as German. It's very similar, at least.
Right. So this is a language that I'm familiar with, not exactly with the same accent like they have it in Netflix, because like I said, different communities come from different places, and certain things vary, including the language. But I am familiar with the language. We've done it in school and in other places.
And you can maybe explain to us all the costumes or the look and this haircut that the men have, that they have like curling locks just right in front of their ears. Is that
right?
What kind of? Can you explain this tradition to us?
So I would say that in general, it is about a Jewish uniform. So just like in many areas of life, you see people with certain uniforms, whether it's medical workers or the police or whatever it might be. There are people who stand out because of a certain uniform, and in Judaism there is also a Jewish uniform, and it's not the same for everyone. So you'll see different types of Jewish uniform. I would say the most important and the most important part of our uniform is the kippah, the small kippah that we wear on the head, and also the tzitzit that is near the pants. You might have seen it when I was in the studio last time. That is the most important part of the Jewish dress code, if you will.
And what does that symbol actually?
And what that represents is we wear something on our head, the kippah. The men wear something on our head called the kippah, and that is to remember that there is a God above us. and that's supposed to influence our behavior and remind us of that there is a God and we should be doing good. Now, women are not required to wear this kippah on the head, and the reason is because women tend to be more spiritual already, so they don't necessarily need this reminder. They're already, in a higher place. So that's the main part of the Jewish dress code. What you see in Netflix, you see those, you see the peyot, the hair in front of the ears that they wear out. You see the long black coats. You see the hats, the fur hats. Those are more specific traditions of specific communities, and that goes back maybe a couple of hundred years. So that's not as old as Judaism. That is from a particular community, and I myself, as you know, you've seen me. I have those peyot. I have the hair in front of the ear. I won't shave it off, but it's very small. It's almost like just the regular hair.
And what is the idea about not shaving that hair? Does that symbolize anything in particular, or?
Well, in the olden days, it was a tradition of people who served idols. The idol worshippers, they were the ones who were shaving off that part of their head. So in order to kind of to express faith in God and in Judaism, so there's a tradition to keep that hair. Now, some people have the tradition that it should be very long, but again, that's varies from community to community. You've seen me. I have that just not shaved off, just regular hair in front of the ear, and I wear regular suits. But I always make sure that I have my kippah on my head, and that is I think the essence of the Jewish dress code.
What about the big fur hats? Do they have a particular meaning, or?
So the same goes for that. I don't know exactly where it comes from. Again, it's a particular tradition of a particular community. I think mostly from Eastern Europe. So I don't know exactly where it comes from. And again, it's not something that you'll find in all Jewish communities. It's not something that I wear, but I respect the people who are holding on to their tradition and, keeping what they feel is important to them.
I noticed
again, I would stress that is not that those people, they would also tell you that that's not the essence. That's not the most important part. The most important part is the kippah and the tzitzit that I explained before. These are more more recent things from their particular communities.
And I noticed there was an old rabbi in the TV show that said during one moment that in the past, when the Jews had forgotten their ways and they started to dress as other people, that God resented that, and they wanted to change nothing because of God resentment in the past. And they have is that something that you emphasize, to change nothing, because the history has shown you when you have changed it, that something bad will happen then?
I'm not familiar with that particular quote, but in general in Judaism, being proud of who we are is something that's very commendable, and it's something that's very important to stand up for what we think is right, and to be proud of who we are and where we come from. So I when I walk around on the street, I'm not trying to hide the fact that I'm a rabbi, the fact that I'm Jewish. I'm happy to be proud of it. I'm happy to share with people, anyone who's interested to learn, anyone who's interested to know more. And I see it as a badge of pride. But I don't in terms of the quote that you just said. I'm not so familiar with it,
No.
but I don't hear people saying, "Oh, you better I don't hear anyone being forced to
Continue
to
the same
dress a
lifestyle.
certain way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I felt that there's an emphasis on the past history of the Jews, of like your exile from Egypt, and of course the Holocaust, and this is something that you emphasize a lot on, the things of the past. Is that very important in your belief?
So our heritage is very important to us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because we think so much about the here and now and the future. And much of our heritage and much of our past guides us in our lives in a modern world,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to, on the one hand, keep our heritage and keep our tradition, but also to be able to apply that to apply that inspiration and to apply that meaning to the world that we live in now.
Mm.
So I do think that the Torah, the Bible, our tradition, our heritage, this is in a way a guide for us, a guide to life, and it's what gives us inspiration and meaning into our regular lives, and it gives meaning to really all parts of life.
And the role of the genders are very traditional in this TV show, at least. The women have certain meanings, and they have to give birth to the children, and they're not allowed to really study anything or even take piano lessons like in the TV show. Is this an accurate portrayal of your community?
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to take a step back and respond to the full picture.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say again that this is not the community that I come from. So what I'm saying to you is not firsthand knowledge,
mm-hmm.
but I have spoken to people from this community, people who are still in this community, some people who left the community. So I feel like I've also visited the community. So I feel like I have, enough knowledge to speak about it.
Yeah.
Actually, we even sometimes have some people from this community visiting us here in Iceland. So I think
Okay.
that I have, some background information, even though it's not necessarily firsthand knowledge.
I see.
Again, I'd like to stress that there are many types of Jews, and in general, I believe that generalizing and painting everyone with a single wide brush is not a good thing to do. Now, this particular story of this girl Esti,
mm-hmm.
If her story is accurate, then my heart goes out to her. My heart goes out to her experience, and it's probably a good thing that she left the community.
Okay.
I think that's a terrible story, but from conversations that I had with people from that community, I'm hearing something, completely different. I'm hearing that many parts are honestly very far-fetched and not relatable even to them.
Okay.
So the way this show is portraying the community is they're portraying it as sad people, a humorless people, no room for individuality, no room for creativity, self-expression. They have arranged marriages. They're told who they have to marry.
Yeah.
They have loveless marriages. Women are abused and raped by their husbands. Women are baby-making machines.
Yeah.
Women don't know their bodies. They're harassed by their mothers-in-law. So, this is how they're portraying, this entire community as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is obviously not the case. I think it's I think it's very far-fetched to, even to these people who come from the community who I've been speaking to. You hear them talking about, they lead beautiful lives, happy lives, loving relationships, loving families. And everyone, it's common knowledge that Judaism puts tremendous emphasis on the family and having a loving family and loving relationships.
So is arranged marriages, that's something that is not general in the community?
Yes, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about it in a second, but just to finish this point,
sure.
I think that you walk on the street there in Williamsburg, and I've visited there. You see, it's a place of drama. It's a place of excitement, competition, humor, fashion. So it's. I think that you're what you're seeing from there. From what I understand and from what I'm hearing from people from within this community is so the way they portray it in my understanding is extremely inaccurate, misleading, and in a way dehumanizing. Now, in terms of, you asked about the arranged marriages, I could tell you from my experience that obviously I'm not told who I should marry. I dated my wife for as long as I needed to, and we made the decision together to get married. I do think that it might vary from one community to the next, but I think for me it's hard to believe that people are having these types of marriages where they're forced into a marriage, where there's a loveless marriage, where there's abuse and rape going on every single day. I think this to me sounds completely non-believable and inaccurate. Now, I wouldn't just say this for myself. Like I said, I've made sure to speak at length with people who I know.
But is there a heavy emphasis on starting a family quickly after the wedding in your community? Like they have to start making babies very soon, or is any pressure like that?
There is. I can tell you for myself, what I know is that I have never received any pressure from anyone or from anywhere to have a baby as quickly as possible. There is a mitzvah, there is a commandment in the Torah for Jewish people to have families, to have children, and children is probably the most beautiful thing. But I don't think that women in those communities see themselves as baby making machines. I honestly don't believe so. I do think that they cherish this idea of having children, perhaps having many children. I would say, at least from my point of view, I don't know exactly what's going on in their heads, but I would think that, and I could speak for myself, that while some people are collecting beautiful cars and beautiful homes, so I think it's very common for Jewish people to find that excitement and to find that love in children, and to see the beauty and blessing and unbelievable thing about having children. So,
but is there any like a belief that since your history of, I mean, for an example, the Holocaust, where 6 million Jews were murdered, that you need to compensate for that somehow with having as many children as you can because of that? Is that something that you is that a belief in your community?
I've heard phrases like that being said, but I think it's more of just a phrase than actually trying to create 6 million babies. I think it's more of the idea that Judaism, should be alive, should stay alive. I don't think this is only about having babies. I think it's about it's about keeping Judaism alive in terms of practice, celebration, and all of that. I've heard this phrase. I think it's more. I don't think that people, at least in the context that I've heard this, it doesn't sound to me like there's an actual goal and checklist of marking down 6 million new births. I think it's more. I think it's more the idea of keeping Judaism alive. Not just in. I don't think just in quantity, but also in quality and keeping it going.
Yeah. What about I noticed that the women in that particular community in the TV show, they shave their heads and wear wigs after they get married. They have they shave all their natural hair off and wear wigs. Is that something that is common?
So I don't think that's common at all. I don't know anyone who shaves their head, to be quite honest.
Okay.
I'm kind of horrified by that, and I actually had to look away. I think I saw most of the show. I didn't see everything. Some parts were too difficult for me to look at, and that was one of them. But I know there are some people who do that. I don't know exactly why. I don't know exactly why. I can tell you that my wife has beautiful hair. She does wear a wig, and actually a beautiful wig, not like the ugly wigs that they portray in that show. But in Judaism, what I can tell you what it's about. It's really about a certain type of modesty, where on the one hand being attractive, but at the same time reserving certain parts of your body for the person, and for the spouse who she chose to share it with. So I think that in a way they also seem to portray the women as dressing ugly and wearing poor looking clothing and stuff like that. I think that's also misleading. I think you walk in the streets of Williamsburg, you walk in shopping centers in that area. You'll see some of these people in the fanciest shops. So I don't think that modesty has anything to do with not looking good. I think on the contrary, modesty is about looking beautiful, but reserving certain parts of your body, not for the street, but for the person you love. And I think that women have so much inner beauty, a character and personality, that the first thing that you see doesn't have to the first thing that you see does not have to be certain parts of her body. Women are encouraged in Judaism to put their character and personality first, and they're seen with their inner beauty, and of course to be as attractive as they could be, but at the same time a certain level of modesty where they're reserving certain parts for their marriage.
I see. But are there any rules against women getting an education and studying something in the Hasidic community?
Well, again, I can tell you from my experience that I know women who go to school. My wife has a degree in education, so I don't think there are rules against it. If there are rules against it, I don't think it has anything to do with with Jewish law.
The religion.
Yeah. So, and you mentioned piano lessons.
Mm-hmm.
I play piano. I've played piano from when I was, I think, 7 years old. I started getting lessons from the age of, I think, 8 or 9.
Yeah.
That's something that's very much a part of my life.
But could your wife get piano lessons if she wanted? Yeah.
My wife plays the guitar. She performs. So I, that's not something that's relatable, at least to me.
Mm-hmm. I see.
If there's some, I don't, and I think a lot of, actually, I'll mention this. We had a girl from one of these communities visiting us in Iceland, maybe just before the virus broke out. She was here. She was with us for some time. And I saw that she played the piano beautifully. We have a piano in our dining room, and she was playing beautifully. So this is not something that is believable to me.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to mention, we're speaking a lot about what the show is portraying.
Yeah.
I think that it's in a way, what troubles me most is what it does not show.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's not showing. I feel that it's not. I feel that it fails to cover the actual Hasidic experience.
Okay.
So the showing certain background and certain parts of life, but I feel that they're missing the soul and the actual true Hasidic experience, where everything in life could have real meaning, happiness, truth, a life that doesn't just pass us by, but where we celebrate even simple things, allowing God into our lives, and turning even ordinary things into a holy experience. And by the way, sex in Judaism could be the purest and holiest act when done properly. So the most important part of sex in Judaism is to strengthen the relationship, to strengthen the love, and to give the woman pleasure first. That's actually more important than a man having pleasure.
Which was not very well portrayed in this series, at least.
Exactly. So I think that's very troubling. Also that they're fully dressed and it looks like rape. That was that was something that I was not able to look at.
I see.
So
so you found it at times difficult to watch this series because of its inaccurate portrayals.
Well, not only because of the inaccuracy, but also because just as a human, I think that's very difficult to watch.
Yeah.
We believe in individuality and self-expression, having meaningful relationships, happy relationships, happy marriages, fulfilling sex life, and just being happy people and leading happy and meaningful lives. You could go on Facebook or Instagram, and you'll see Jewish Orthodox women who are teaching, entertaining, have leading roles in community and business. I could say personally, here in Iceland, my wife is not, I don't think, just the co-director of the Jewish community, but she's probably more active and bringing more creativity and more celebration to the community than I do. So I would say that it's more than it's in many cases. In many cases, there's more of the women and less of the men.
I see. So in short, the Unorthodox TV series, they have probably sacrificed a lot of accuracy for a certain narrative that they wanted to portray. I guess.
I think so. I think that's quite unfortunate. Now, again, I'm not taking away from this girl, Esty. If the story is true and accurate, then my heart truly goes out to her. But and this is not to say that communities are perfect. Every community has its issues. That's true in the Jewish community. That's true in other communities. So it's not to say that this is impossible. That I'm not suggesting that this didn't happen. But I'm saying to portray the entire community, the entire Williamsburg Jewish community, and the entire Jewish community as a whole, with this wide brush of just painting everyone in the same way, I think is very unfortunate.
Okay, Avi, it's been very interesting to hear your take on all this, and I'm glad that you spoke with us. And before we leave you, I wanted to ask you. I heard that you and other religious communities in Iceland are having a joint prayer today. Isn't that right?
That's correct. So this is going to be a multi-faith. It's going to be online because of the social distancing rules. I think in general, prayer is a good thing. Prayer is recognizing that at the end of the day, God is in control, and He wants to hear from us. That's what prayer is about. Prayer is about asking for our needs, but also connecting to God. And having a relationship with God. But at the same time, it is equally important to do everything in our power to stay safe and to be safe, to follow the rules, to do whatever we could, to destroy this terrible virus.
So there are Jews and Muslims and Christians and other religions joining forces today, and that's quite special, isn't it?
I think unity is always a great thing.
That's very good. Avi Feldman, thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me today. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.